As Marcus got out of the garbage truck, his neighbors rolled down their windows and called their children inside. They knew him only as the crazy garbage man. But that evening, it was precisely the secret hidden in this crazy garbage man's basement that would save 8-year-old Emma's life. And that secret would change the world of medicine forever. The small house on Maple Street in a Boston suburb didn't look much different from the others. With its peeling white paint, neglected yard, and often grimy window panes, it was considered the neighborhood's most worthless property. But its owner, Marcus Thompson, was definitely different from his neighbors. Every morning at 6 o'clock, he'd leave his house wearing an orange reflective vest and an old baseball cap and board the city's garbage truck. His hands were always covered in dirt, his clothes smelled of garbage, and his hair was a mess. When neighbors saw him, they'd call their children inside, roll up their car windows, and hold their breath. "That filthy man's stench is reaching all the way up here," 42-year-old Karen Wilson would say every morning as she watched Marcus from her kitchen window. "We should report him to the city. People like that shouldn't live in this neighborhood. I'm worried about our children's safety." Neighbor Bob Martinez agreed, "He's definitely not normal. I hear strange noises coming from the basement in the middle of the night. Who knows what the hell he's doing there?" Marcus tried to ignore the looks, the whispers, the disgusted expressions. Every morning, as he boarded the garbage truck, he heard the derogatory comments coming from behind him, but he remained silent. Because no one knew his true story. No one knew that 15 years ago, he was MIT's most brilliant biomolecular engineer. No one had read his 23 articles, published in the journals Nature, Science, and Cell. No one knew that he was a visiting professor at Harvard or a keynote speaker at cancer research conferences in Europe. And certainly no one wondered why he had fallen into this situation. To the neighborhood, Marcus was simply a mad garbage collector. But in reality, he was a genius trying to solve one of the biggest problems modern medicine has yet to solve. But what truly mattered to Marcus was his secret laboratory in the basement. Every evening, after returning from his garbage collection, he would descend to his basement after a shower and conduct experiments more sophisticated than the world's most advanced research centers. The glass shards, metal caps, and plastic bottles he collected from the garbage would create scientific miracles in his hands. In 2008, Dr. Marcus Thompson was conducting groundbreaking research in cancer research in his laboratory at MIT. His office overlooked the Charles River, and the diplomas and awards lining the walls testified to his prestigious status as a scientist. His research team consisted of 12 people and had an annual budget of $3.2 million. His project aimed to target and destroy cancer cells while minimizing the side effects of chemotherapy drugs. Major pharmaceutical companies Pfizer, Novartis, and Johnson & Johnson were closely following his work, queuing up for research contracts worth millions of dollars. But Marcus's method challenged conventional medical thinking. Instead of using expensive chemical compounds, he preferred working with natural extracts and recycled materials. His lab colleagues would tell him, "Professor, this way of working is unscientific," but Marcus persisted. "The greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected places," he would tell his students. Alexander Fleming's discovery of penicillin came from a contaminated petri dish. Marie Curie discovered radium among waste materials. We too must question traditional approaches. As Marcus's research progressed, he achieved astonishing results. The formula he developed destroyed 97% of cancer cells in laboratory mice, while leaving healthy cells completely unharmed. This was the most successful result ever achieved. However, this success threw him off his feet. When Marcus refused to disclose the exact formula he used in his research, the MIT administration accused him of violating scientific ethics. The real reason was far more complex. Marcus's formula threatened billions of dollars in chemotherapy patents held by major pharmaceutical companies. "You're crazy, Marcus," said his former department head, Professor Williams. "You can't make a cure from garbage. You're a scientist, not a garbage collector." Stop this nonsense and get back to normal research. By normal research, Professor Williams meant projects sponsored by pharmaceutical companies, whose outcomes were predetermined. When Marcus objected, his academic career was sabotaged. But as he signed the dismissal papers, Marcus had only one thing in mind: one day, this trash will save someone's life. After being fired, Marcus couldn't find a job at any university. His references were blocked, and his articles were rejected for publication. Moreover, his wife, Linda, left him during this period. "I married a professor, not a garbage collector." Now, 7 years later, Marcus's basement lab was more advanced than any university research center. Thanks to his work collecting garbage, he had access to materials discarded by every research center in the city. He had built a spectrometer from discarded computer parts, built a distillation system from broken glass, and developed a microfilter system by drilling precise holes in metal caps. Old test tubes discarded by hospitals, cracked microscope glass, even parts of a decommissioned MRI machine, all found a new life in Marcus's hands. The basement walls were lined with shelves. These shelves held hundreds of glass jars, each containing a different chemical substance. Marcus manufactured these substances himself from materials he scavenged from the trash. Chemicals from old batteries, leftover cleaning products, waste oil, all were transformed into valuable raw materials in his laboratory. Every night, after his neighbors had gone to bed, Marcus worked in the basement until dawn. He perfected his formula, which destroyed cancer cells but did not harm healthy cells. His experiments were so precise that even a single drop could alter the results. In Marcus's diary, he wrote, Experiment 1247. Formula C23 version. 98.3% success rate in lab mice. No side effects observed. Ready for human trials. But there was a problem: he couldn't find patients to test the formula on. No hospital would work with him anymore, no patient trusted him. Marcus the garbage man was someone no one took seriously. Until he met his neighbors across the street, the Johnson family. 8-year-old Emma Johnson was an incredibly cheerful and energetic girl. With her blonde hair, blue eyes, and a smile she always wore, she was the neighborhood mascot. Every morning on her way to school, she would wave to Marcus and call out, "Good morning, Mr. Marcus." Marcus would smile back. Emma was the only person in the neighborhood who wasn't afraid of Marcus. But Emma's parents, Susan and David Johnson, agreed with the other neighbors about Marcus. "I told Emma to stay away from that man, but he wouldn't listen," Susan would say. "Children are innocent, they don't know who's good and who's bad." A month earlier, Emma had been diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It all started innocently enough. Emma felt tired, had a poor appetite, and had frequent fevers. Initially, her family thought it was a normal childhood illness. But blood tests revealed the horrifying truth: Emma's body was teeming with cancer cells. Dr. Sarah Peterson, an oncologist at Boston Children's Hospital, told the family the truth: Emma's condition is serious. It's an aggressive form of leukemia, and unfortunately, it was diagnosed late. We'll start chemotherapy, but our chance of success is around 15 to 20%. The little girl was rapidly losing weight under the effects of chemotherapy, her famous blonde hair was falling out, and she had no energy left to play. Emma, who had weighed 28 kilograms 2 weeks earlier, now weighed 22 kilograms. There were bruises under her eyes, and her skin had turned pale yellow. His mother, Susan, would call Marcus every night, crying loud enough for him to hear her. "Mom, the doctor said the chances of surgery are very slim." "Yes, maybe 3 months. They're saying 6 months, but it's unrealistic. I don't know what to do. We're looking for other treatment options, but hope is scarce." Marcus heard these conversations with the window open, his heart breaking. That little girl's innocent smile was living proof of why he'd made all these sacrifices. Emma represented millions of cancer patients worldwide. One evening, watching Emma play in the garden, Marcus finally made his decision. It was the perfect situation to test the formula he'd been developing for 7 years. Emma was dying, and conventional treatments weren't working. Marcus's formula would either save her or at least ease her pain. But this decision was the biggest risk of Marcus's life. If he were caught, he could go to prison for life. If the formula didn't work, it could kill Emma. Even if it succeeded, no one would believe him. Marcus devised a special plan for that night. He adjusted the final version of the formula to Emma's weight and blood counts. He spent hours calculating in the basement, checking every detail. Nothing could go wrong. After midnight, Marcus prepared a special syringe. Inside was the final version of the formula he'd been developing for 7 years. This liquid could destroy Emma's cancer cells, but it could also kill her. Emma was so small. At 2:30 a.m., the Johnsons were fast asleep. Marcus quietly slipped into the backyard. The window to Emma's room was ajar, the air conditioner wasn't working because of the stifling summer heat. The little girl was sound asleep, her breathing barely audible. Marcus slowly opened the window and slipped inside. He saw the 4 line in Emma's arm. It had been inserted for home treatment after her discharge from the hospital. Her heart was beating rapidly, her hands were shaking. She knew this was the moment she'd been waiting for 7 years. He connected the syringe to the 4 line in Emma's arm and slowly injected the formula. As the liquid mixed with Emma's body, Marcus prayed silently. "Oh God, please let it work. This little angel deserves it." It could take 6 to 8 hours for the formula to take effect. Marcus would have to wait until morning. At 7 o'clock the next morning, Susan Johnson's screams woke the entire neighborhood. But it wasn't a cry of fear, it was a cry of joy. "David, come here. Emma's awake. Call Dr. Peterson. Our daughter's fever's gone. Her color's back. It's a miracle." Emma truly felt like she'd been reborn. The little girl, who hadn't been able to get out of bed for 3 weeks, could now stand. The life in her eyes had returned. Emma's recovery astonished the entire medical team at Boston Children's Hospital. Dr. Peterson admitted he had never seen anything like it in his 20-year career. "This is unprecedented in medical literature," he told the nurses. Yesterday, Emma's white blood cell count was 2,100, this morning it's 8,200. Her cancer markers have returned to normal. It's as if the cancer cells disappeared overnight. But that's theoretically impossible. The hospital administration immediately reported the incident to the FBI. A federal investigation was launched because of the unknown compounds found in Emma's blood. These compounds were not found in any registered drug. When FBI agent Sarah Mitchell took over the case, she realized what she was facing was no ordinary case. The chemical compounds in Emma's blood were highly sophisticated and definitely not homemade. Agent Mitchell questioned everyone around Emma: neighbors, doctors, hospital staff, teachers, relatives. Everyone was curious about who had administered what to Emma. During the investigation, neighbor Bob Martinez revealed a key detail: that garbage man, Marcus, does strange things at night. There are strange noises coming from his basement, as if he's conducting chemical experiments. When Agent Mitchell began investigating Marcus Thompson's past, he was shocked. This man was no ordinary garbage man. When he spoke with former Professor Williams, he was astonished by the information he learned. Marcus Thompson? That man was a genius scientist. Perhaps the most brilliant researcher of the last 20 years. But he was obsessive and didn't follow the rules. He was trying to make medicine from garbage. We fired him because his methods didn't comply with scientific protocols and were deemed risky for patient safety. What kind of risks? Agent Mitchell asked. He was experimenting without FDA approval, trying to move on to human testing. If he weren't crazy, he could certainly win a Nobel Prize. But he wasn't following scientific ethics, doing everything his own way. This information changed Agent Mitchell's perception of Marcus. This man wasn't just conducting illegal experiments, he might have made discoveries that could change the world. When the FBI raided Marcus's home, they were stunned by what they found in the basement. Built with equipment made from scrap metal, the lab appeared more sophisticated and organized than the research centers at Harvard and MIT. Agent Mitchell couldn't believe his eyes as he examined the lab. The spectrometer, the centrifuge, the electrophoresis tank, even the mini MRI machine, all were made with scrap metal. Hundreds of chemicals were stored on shelves along the walls, each carefully labeled and organized. On Marcus's desk were copies of Emma's blood test results. Marcus had been monitoring the little girl's condition for months. The calculations, the formula testing, the dosage adjustments, everything was meticulously professional and scientific. As Marcus was handcuffed, he spoke calmly. "Look at Emma's latest test results. The cancer cells are completely gone. Her white blood cell count is back to normal. Her liver and kidney function are perfect. This is something modern chemotherapy can't do. And there are no side effects." As Agent Mitchell examined Marcus's work, he realized the magnitude of what he was facing. This man had developed a formula that could save millions of cancer patients worldwide. And he had done it with materials he scavenged from the trash. "Why did you hide this?" Agent Mitchell asked. "Why didn't you go through official channels? Why did you act on your own?" Marcus replied with a wry smile, 15 years ago, when I tried to develop the same formula, the pharmaceutical companies destroyed me. Because my formula made their billions of dollars worth of chemotherapy drugs unnecessary. When I tried to get FDA approval, my file mysteriously disappeared. Research funding was cut off. This time, I didn't wait for them. During the conversation, evidence emerged from Marcus's lab, confirming his claims. This formula actually worked and had no commercial interest. The media coverage of the story sparked a nationwide debate. While some accused Marcus of illegal medical experiments, others viewed him as a hero of modern medicine. CNN, Fox News, ABC, all major media outlets made the case headline news. The hashtag #SaveMarcus trended on Twitter. Thousands of cancer patients and their families launched a campaign for Marcus's release. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, an oncologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, said in an interview with CBS, "What Marcus Thompson did may be technically illegal, but it's scientifically revolutionary. This formula needs to be put through clinical trials." FDA spokesperson Dr. Robert Chen, on the other hand, emphasized the importance of strict regulations. Medical experiments must follow certain protocols. No one, no matter how well-intentioned, can conduct human experimentation on their own. Susan Johnson, testifying through tears in court, said, "This man saved my daughter's life. The doctors gave Emma 3 months, and Marcus cured her. Instead of punishing him, you should be thanking him. Thousands of children can live thanks to his formula." Emma Johnson was also allowed to speak in court. The 8-year-old girl addressed the judge, "Mr. Marcus cured me. He's not a bad man, he's an angel. Please release him." Marcus's defense attorney, Sarah Goldman, offered a broader perspective. "My client was systematically silenced because he threatened the profits of big pharmaceutical companies. This case is emblematic of the fight against the commercialization of science." While the court case was ongoing, Marcus's formula was tested in independent laboratories. The results were shocking. It actually worked. Dr. Michael Rodriguez of Johns Hopkins University, announcing the test results, said, "This formula could usher in a new era in cancer treatment. It perfectly applies the principle of targeted therapy. It destroys cancer cells but leaves healthy tissue unharmed." Professor Dr. Jennifer Liu of Harvard Medical School made similar assessments. "Thompson's approach is unorthodox, but the results are indisputable. This may be the most important cancer research of the last 30 years. Emma's condition was also closely monitored. 6 months after treatment, all tests showed Emma was completely healthy. There was no trace of cancer left. After Emma's follow-up examination, Dr. Peterson said, "This is the most successful cancer treatment I've ever seen in the history of medicine. Emma has no side effects, her development is normal, and her immune system is strong. It's a miracle." The public was divided. While Marcus supporters saw him as a modern-day hero, his critics argued that medical ethics had been violated. Emma's recovery changed the course of the debate. The court ruled that Marcus would receive a conditional acquittal. The judge stated, "While Mr. Thompson's actions were technically illegal, their public benefit cannot be overlooked. I sentence him to 2 years of probation and allow him to continue his research under official supervision." This decision marked the beginning of a new era for Marcus. The NIH, National Institutes of Health, granted him official research status. Harvard and MIT offered to collaborate to make up for past mistakes. In a statement following the verdict, Marcus said, "My goal was never to break the law. I simply wanted to help people. Now, by working through official channels, I can reach more patients." A year after the incident, Emma Johnson was completely healthy. She was back in school, playing with her friends, and her hair was more beautiful than ever. The family formed a friendship with Marcus, calling him Emma's second father. After receiving FDA approval, Marcus's formula was used worldwide. Within the first year, 15,000 cancer patients were treated with this formula. The success rate was 94%, the highest in modern medical history. Major pharmaceutical companies initially tried to sabotage Marcus's discovery. However, due to public pressure and media attention, the formula was licensed for production. Marcus donated all proceeds from the patent rights to cancer research. Marcus now works in his new laboratory in Boston. But he still lives in his Maple Street home and has reconciled with his neighbors. Karen Wilson, who had despised Marcus a year earlier, now brings him homemade cookies. Bob Martinez volunteered to help Marcus and works in his laboratory. Most importantly, Emma Johnson was healthy and happy. She still waves to Marcus every morning on her way to school, but now she calls out, "Good morning, Dr. Marcus." Marcus's story not only proved that a garbage collector can be a scientist, but it also demonstrated how misleading prejudices can be, that true value isn't hidden from view, and that sometimes the greatest miracles can emerge from the most unexpected places. That old basement laboratory is now a museum. Visitors come to see the magnificent equipment made from trash and listen to Marcus's story. A sign on the wall reads, "Great discoveries are born not in big laboratories, but in big hearts." The last page of Marcus's diary reads, "When Emma recovered, I realized it didn't matter that I had to be a garbage collector for 7 years. Because that little girl's smile was worth more than all the MIT diplomas." And Emma? She's still running around the neighborhood, playing, laughing, and growing. But now she knows what she wants to be when she grows up. "I'll be like Dr. Marcus and heal the sick." Marcus's story was just the beginning. Thousands of patients worldwide have been healed thanks to his formula, but the true value lies elsewhere, his ability to break down prejudices and recognize the potential hidden within everyone. Because sometimes, the greatest heroes are hidden in the most ordinary disguises. And sometimes, life-saving miracles are found in trash cans.